Hey guys, I know the previous video was quite finicky work, quite small. This time it's going to be a little bit bigger. It's a much chunkier piece. Some of this stuff, I think it's about ½ inch. Nah, it's a bit bigger than that, but still it's reasonably chunky. And I'm going to be making a square point. Maybe try and round it if I have the time, but I'm going to show you how to make a square point from one of those bars. It's very simple, but you know, it's heavier forging, and I thought that's what people wanted to see as well, rather than just me lightly tapping over the anvil. This was actually some big heavy work that a lot of people are kind of used to seeing. Obviously it's not super heavy, but it's with heavier strikes, and it's just more satisfying to some people, and I can understand that. I mean, I love doing big heavy work like this. This is kind of the main thing we did in college, was making stuff like this, like just random points, drawing out bars from like horseshoes, making like big chunky rings and all that. But this is one of the main pieces that we used to make. We made diamond, square, and round point. So enough of me talking. This is going to be me forging. Right, off we get started. Don't want to waste any more heat. First, right, it was a bit too loud to talk over that, so I'm just going to explain it now. I put it at the edge of the anvil, and I strike with an angle of my hammer just over the edge. And that angle, depending on where you hold the hammer, will represent on the steel. So I start on two sides. I don't have to work through all four sides even, because the anvil is doing the other half of the work. If it's you know, at least it's solid enough. And so if you hit over the top, it's gonna hit over the bottom. So I only have to hit two sides to get the shape that I want. Obviously, when I'm refining it a little bit more in the later stages, I'll probably work around all four corners. But this is just getting the rough taper down, because you don't tidy up right now at this stage. There's no point. You do the heavy forging first before anything else, and then you do the tidy up. I mean, try and keep it reasonably tidy, but don't focus and make the corners super sharp or the point even super sharp, because you don't want that. Especially not if you're using a coke forge, because if you're using a coke or coal forge, it's much hotter, which means that you don't want to end up creating a point where that point is obviously in the fire, because it's going to burn, because it's the smallest point. So you want to avoid that as much as possible until obviously the later stages. I'm using a gas forge, it's not as important, but I'll show you. See that? It's got now those four corners I've brought down only by working on two. So that's a lot of the heavy forging done. It's like half the heavy forging. Now, important thing to remember, especially when you're using a coke or coal forge, that the larger the piece of steel, the longer it takes to heat up. However, it also is the longest time it retains the energy. So, pretty easy to understand. The thinner the bit of steel, the faster it will heat up, but the faster it will also cool down. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer compared to the last video, where the steel was heating up very quickly, because now it won't do that. Now it will have to heat up a little bit more gradually. Especially because it's a gas forge as well. Here, gas forges are usually the coolest of all the forges, all the forge types. Then you go up to like coal and coke and all that kind of stuff. I don't know which is the hottest, but I'm pretty sure it always varies on the actual like hearth you have. And also the chew iron, of course, because the amount of air you're pumping into the damn thing, you know. Because air is what matters in those types of fires. In a gas forge, it's just the level of bars for the propane. It's just the amount of atmospheric pressure going into the propane, going from the propane canister into the gas forge itself. There's a little meter usually on the top left or top right of the forge that tells you how many bars it's pumping into it. Anyway, that should be ready. So naturally, as I work it, it's getting thinner, so it loses energy faster. See that? There we are. Square point. I mean, it's not straight or center at all, but you can work your way. It's quite a short and stubby one, but it's a point nonetheless. You can keep working backwards, back on those flats, to draw it out longer. But this is quite a short one. This is only about a hammer and a half worth of distance. The corners are reasonably sharp, so if you see any round bits of, you see any round corners, you should try and take them out by working on one side and then working on the other that the corners represent. You just keep doing that. I'm going to put it in the fire one more time so I can get the point a little bit thinner. However, as you can see, the thinner the bit of steel is at the front, so I need to be careful it doesn't cool down too quickly. But yeah, that's how you get the sharp corners. You work on one side of the face and then the other that the corner is part of. And eventually turn sharper and sharper and sharper until you have what you want. It's quite a fun project to start off with, like just to mess around with the steel, like just to know how it moves, how it behaves. And that's how I started in high school. Actually, I was just kind of randomly hitting bits of steel to like the shape I wanted to, rather than actually doing things proper. I mean, this is proper, but it's just a square. It's just a square point. You could put one of these at the end of a poker, at the end of a rake if you really want to. I don't know why you would, but lots of things can use tapers. I mean, especially decorative stuff, like the stuff on the floor you just see right here. Like that's a taper, but that's actually a very long taper over a flat bar, and the rounds as well, because you can actually taper around. I might do a video on that as well later. That's a little bit harder because you have to go from square and then to round, so it requires an extra step. First things first, let me just quickly sharpen this corner up. It heats up relatively quicker now because it's thinner, as I said. I'm going to use this to straighten it up a little bit. I know it doesn't look too hot, but at this point you can get a lot of the dents or hammer marks out because it's you're not forging the steel, you're just like taking off the surface. And there you have it. The square point. I know it's not the best right now, but it's also, I don't think, 100% center. But you can keep working on that, really. But you can see that's the shape you get, all by angling the hammer and working on one end. You know, I could draw this back further by hitting on these flats, as I said, or I could turn it around and do one on this side. Who knows? But that's how you make a point. Well, a square point anyway. I can show you later on in different videos how to do like round points and stuff. I like doing round points, so that should be actually quite good, but just gonna throw it in the quenching bucket there. You can hear it sizzling away. I'm gonna turn off the forge. Oh, nice and quiet now. Gas forges are usually a bit louder than coke forges. Coke forges just use the air from the chew iron. Anyway, let me just fold up this thing so I can actually hold it. There we go. So, one more project down. One of the main videos anyway, I've probably noticed like the previous video was a little bit higher quality this time. It was more direct rather than just the raw footage that I was doing before. So that's what I mean by the channel upgrade really, because that's what it is. I mean, look at it. And I can actually talk to you guys as well while doing the projects with the microphone, so I love that. I love that feature. And as you can see, I'm doing custom thumbnails too. So, but before I get into this, before I do a freaking channel update without me actually realizing, that's how you make a square point. You know, actually, I probably should bring it out just one last time. It might be still a little bit hot. Oh no, it's fine because the water's quite cool. But there you go. Square point. And as I said, you can keep working it to your heart's content really, but that's the very idea of it. And this is what we had to do for college in one of our portfolio pieces. Just one of these, just as long as it was like center and the sides were the same size and it was an even consistent taper, which this isn't quite, but you know, it's just for video purpose, but you know, still. You can brush all the scale off of it, just make it nice and tidy, but I don't really see any purpose for this whatsoever, or any purpose for me anyway. I don't know what you guys would do with such a thing. But, yeah. That's how you do it. Anyway, dry my hands so I can actually click the button. Expect more videos in the future, so remember to subscribe, because this is going to be like kind of the main focus of content. I'm not going to do one of these updates at the end of every video. I'm just going to quickly say it now. This is what you'd expect. I'm not going to do raw footage anymore. I'm going to do what people actually probably want to see. So they want to see how to do stuff, like actually how-to videos, rather than just, look at me, I'm doing blacksmithing. I just want to do an educational video. I want to show non-blacksmiths and blacksmiths alike. Not like they would listen to me or anything, because I mean I've only got like a year of proper experience. But we all have to start somewhere, eh? And there could be blacksmiths out there who want to see this and actually take something from it. Especially when someone's direct talking to them, because that's probably one of the best ways of learning. Just having someone to actually talk to. So I'll be in the comments if you have any questions. I'll 100% reply to you. Anything you want to ask me, any suggestions for any future videos as well, I'm perfectly happy to take that. And if you think that the videos need improvement at all, like, just say, I want to improve this channel even further, and I want to allow it to grow naturally as well. I don't want to force anyone to subscribe or nothing, but I just want to actually make good content and rewarding content for myself to look at, for me to go home and watch the videos over again and see that they're actually a part of a decent quality. And that's what gets me excited for the future, because I'm actually liking the look of the new videos. I mean, if you saw the custom thumbnail with me holding up the knot, which I'll do one for this as well, like, as you probably have seen when you clicked on the video. And some kind of corny thing, you know. But it's what you have to do. It's what you should do, because it attracts viewers. Anyway, before I start babbling on any further, because I've got a terrible habit of that, I'll see you guys later.